Hello and welcome back to Strongwoman High's Dash Life is a Mishmash. Today we are here with Eliza, Super Eliza on Instagram. Very special guest. Welcome to the show, Eliza.
Hi, Becca. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Me and Eliza know each other pretty well, to be fair, but now you live in London, don't you? So we never get to see you. At one point we were seeing you all the time, but now, never.
Yeah, good times. Yeah,
Back,
bit of a
back in
trek
the
up
day when
north.
you...
But up north is where the
Yeah.
strong woman buzz is.
Yeah, I say this all the time. The Northeast is like the mecca of strong women, innit? It's where the highest
Yeah,
concentration of strong women are.
yeah. And the standard is so high. I was like, right, better get back down south. Here, I'm one of the best up north. I am barely average at all.
No, I don't think that's true. But anyway, it is the Northeast has got a big high standard of strongman, definitely. So do you want to do a little elevator pitch to explain to people who you are, what you're about, what your life is like, what your accolades are?
Sure. I'm Eliza. I am, well, pushing 35, not quite, but it will happen this year. I've started my fitness journey in my teenage years, trying to be as skinny and as lean as possible. My first PT taught me how to use the power plate, which is a vibrating machine. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like I can lose all the weight, get really nice and toned. No one ever explained about progressive overload. That was not a thing. Like almost 20 years ago now. So I did that. I dabbled in CrossFit. I got injured twice in 6 weeks. So I was like, right, a broken arm and a broken leg. Maybe that is not for me. And then
Oh God,
crazy running.
no.
Yeah, crazy running. Again, like still on my pursuit to be really skinny. I was like, I'm just going to go on this cross trainer for the next 2 hours, 3 hours. It caused some stress fractures in my foot, like first the left foot, then the right foot. I was like, right, so this sucks. I can't do this forever. And then I moved to the UK and I was introduced to strongman because coming from Germany, it's not a thing. We're not watching it around Christmas time. People don't know the sport. I'm sure there are exceptions by now because the German Federation actually, like, they're pushing things. You and I, we both know people who compete in Germany or from Germany, and they're really, really good because, like, especially
Yeah,
the Bavarian lot, like, similar to the northern girls, they're strong girls. They know what they're doing. They can pick things up
yeah,
and throw them around. But even that, I done strongman classes at the gym, and I was like, oh, why am I not getting better? I'm having so much fun, but it's like, again, it wasn't a structured program. So there we are. Then I got really sick, and after that sickness, it was like, right, I need to be strong now. I need to be able to manage life. I hired Jenny Todd, and this is how I got to do strongman.
yeah. Nice, nice. Good little journey with Jenny. Cool. So, we'll get straight into it then. So, what has been your strong
Yeah.
woman high?
Yeah, so I've noted down a few. I made some notes. So I'll start with the silly one. There was a competition, and I think you were there too. It was some form of Highland Games, and we had a tug of war event, and it was my absolute highlight. I was like, I loved it. What I didn't know was because you start like crawling in the mud, trying to pull the other person over the line. There were people
Yeah.
and it was noisy, so I didn't notice the person was already flat on their face, and I kept pulling.
Just dragging someone round.
Yes, yes. There may or may not be evidence of this. I was like, I didn't know the lady, so wouldn't be able to give you a
Class.
name now. But I was like, yeah, okay, this is definitely, and for this to be a competitive sport where you can like roll around in the mud trying to pull someone over the line, that's quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my highlights. Yeah. Then this year we had Europe's. So for me, this was pretty cool to get an invite to Europe's because this is something tangible. And what I can say about the unbreakable pathway and the England as it has developed over the last 2 years, there's a live stream. And for me, where my mom isn't close by, for my mom to getting to watch Strongwoman on, like, for her on the telly through the browser, that is pretty cool. So by now she knows people, she remembers, she recognizes names. She's like, oh, this person was in there, or this person, oh yeah, they're the ones with the funky hair, they're always here. I was like, yeah. So it's like, even though she wouldn't be traveling to the UK to come watch it, it's really nice for her to starting to understand the sport. And then at Europe's, I carried the flag when we were walking in. And I mean, my mum, of course, she's a boomer, so she put it on her WhatsApp story. She's like, oh, look at my daughter, Eliza, at least 80 kilos or so. I was like, oh, mummy. Yeah, that was a big moment.
Thanks. Not like I've just cut to 73 and nearly died.
Yeah,
Cheers.
yeah,
Oh, bless her. That's so funny. So your strong woman highs have
yeah,
been dragging people in the mud and your mum watching you on TV.
yeah.
Class.
I would say so. I would say so. I put down a few more. So I think when I done my first England in 2022, they had a Lifter of the Day award.
Yeah.
So the first year doing Strongwoman, it was quite humbling in that, like, I came in fairly confident. I was like, no, I'm sure I can do these things. And then I rocked up. I was like, oh, I've never seen women this muscular. I mean, I didn't have this, what do we call it? Imposter syndrome, so I didn't struggle with that. I'm just like, right, I'm just like a different type, you know. My shoulders, they're still like, then an office jacket still fits me. It's not quite the same level, but it was equally impressive. And then that year, there was a girl called Rosie. Her and I, we tried. We gave each other a little battle because, like, the top spots they would take in the moment we rocked up. It's like, right, so let's battle it out between the two of us who gets to be as high up as possible on the leaderboard. And we won Lift of the Day. Back then that was sponsored by the Protein Queen, which was really cool. And we each got £50 and some snacks. I was like, yeah, this is really sweet. And that's something that I then took with me and sponsored over the next year, and I've signed up to sponsor this again for this year, because I just think it's such a nice thing that even though you're not ending up anywhere close to the podium, you still get like a shout out on stage.
Yeah, that's cool. That I do like a lift of the day, like an extra prize, because I do think you get
Yeah.
the odd person who, won't make the podium, but they're still trying their hardest and they're super impressive people. So I totally agree. I love the lifter of the day award. I've never won one,
Yeah.
but that's because I'm so fucking annoying at comps.
Yeah, but also sometimes you get
Everyone's
to
like, "Can
actually
she just
win.
fuck off?"
So.
Yeah, to be fair,
uh,
that's the only time I get a prize is if I win, so I have to try and win. I'm
yeah,
not winning no
yeah.
lifter of the day. I'm winning. If there was a knobhead of the day, I'd win that one.
Yeah. A silly
But
goose
that's
of
it.
the day.
Yes, if there's a silly goose of the day, I'd win that one.
Any day, any day. Standing appointment.
All the time. Every time I come to a comp,
Yeah,
that's what my award would be. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Awesome, yeah. So that 2022 comp, I've spoke about this so many times. That England's like over the last few days, it's mad because it seems
What
like
was
that's
it?
where
Yeah,
all of us began. Like all of us started in that 2022 England's, the one at Fit Expo,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Okay.
That Ant Brown did, yeah.
Yeah,
And so
yeah. It was
you did.
awful.
It was yeah, terrible. It was you must have been in the 82s then, were you?
No, I was 73. I was with Jenny. Jenny and I
Ah.
competed against each other for the first time.
Oh, yes, right, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It was such a mad there was so many people at that England's. I feel like that was like probably the last time that we had such a huge array of people at that England's.
yeah,
Was it
yeah.
2022 you're
And
talking
it's
about? Or 2021?
2022. Yeah. For me, it was 2022, and it's like, but then really, like, it laid the foundations for also quite a lot of friendships that have evolved, because, like,
Yeah.
I hear it every time I'm watching OSG or even Europe's. It was like, oh yeah, I only know these people from comms. It's like, yeah, but by now we have history because 3 years have passed. And since then, we see each other 3 to 4 times a year, always at comms. And you build the friendships, you go for food, you check in on each other, check for transportation. Can we share some costs? I feel like a really nice dynamic has developed between the girls.
100%. I feel like that England's 2022 is where everything, all of us have blossomed out from, isn't it? Everyone was there at that pivotal moment in Strongwoman time, and we've all just
Yeah,
like splayed out from that
yeah,
point there. But it's funny that, isn't it? Because
yeah,
loads of people that I've interviewed for this podcast have brought up that England's. Like we've discussed it on nearly every
yeah,
podcast I think so far,
yeah,
which is just quite funny, isn't it? Because
yeah,
all of
yeah.
us looking back at it fucking hated it.
Yeah, it was awful. Very memorable though. You know,
Very memorable.
it's those
Not in a
ones
good
you
way.
learn from. Yeah. No, no. Donna losing a biceps once again.
Yeah, yeah, that's I've just had that conversation with her as well. That's so funny.
So,
Awesome. Cool. So let's move on then. What has been your strong woman law?
oh, water cuts.
Yep,
Of
I'm with
course
you on
they
that.
are.
I'm with you on
Yeah.
that.
You try, you stress, and the stress hormone is just the weight is not budging. So you either got to bathe it off or you got to suck it off and just go in a different weight class. And it was, for me, it was in 2023. It was the only water cut that I failed. Yeah, I'm not gonna go back to that place. Like after that, like I like hired a different nutritionist. I've lost the weight naturally, but I think also it's like right. There's a lot of talk at the moment. Like if you don't naturally sit in that weight class, maybe you should just go up a weight class so your performance isn't impacted. But then I also know it's like well, but actually like throughout like my late teen years and my early 20s I always sat around 70 kilos. So I've gained a fair bit of muscle then, but the 73s, they're not an alien weight to reach for me. So if I wasn't being a piggy all the time, I wasn't so stressed or struggling with life, then
Yeah.
I would actually sit there naturally. So yeah, it's like I've now like lost all the weight again with a nutritionist called Lindsay. She's on Instagram. She's Titan. She's not Tiny Titan. She's the other Titan.
Yeah.
We've been doing good work together. But more on that topic, I think what all of the nutritionists for me are lacking and why that is a strong woman low for me is there's no educational piece in the nutrition. I don't know if yours, if Becca, I think you're with Becca, aren't you?
Yeah, I was with
Bex,
Bex, yeah, before, yeah.
yeah, yeah, if she does the educational bit, but like I still don't know and I wouldn't be able to do my own nutrition other than thinking, well, right, don't eat the chocolate, don't use too much oil and butter and you'll be fine. And
Yeah.
generally that is true. But there's so much to know about that. And yeah, the older I'm getting, it's like, actually, it would be quite nice to save these £120 a month
Yeah.
if I knew what I was doing and could do it myself.
Yeah, 100%. And I was with Bex last year, and I'm not with her now, and only because I felt like I had the knowledge from her that I needed to now get back
Yeah.
down to that point. So, like, when I was with her, yeah, she gives you a meal plan and she tells you what macros to stick to and stuff like that. But I liked Bex because any questions I had about what I was eating, why am I eating this, what do you think about this, what do you think about that, she would answer a lot of my questions, which then means like moving forward now I sort of know what I need to do. I like
Yeah.
having Bex there, and if I needed to have her there for a cut, I would use her as just a sort of responsibility, like as in I have to do something because she's there and I'm paying her, so otherwise
Yeah.
it's pointless.
Yeah.
But I do
That's it.
believe that a good nutritionist is
Yeah.
someone. Yeah, it's the same with a lot of these things. Like a good nutritionist is someone that you shouldn't have to be with forever. You shouldn't have to
Yeah.
rely on them constantly. If you have bad eating habits or bad relationships with food, yeah, it's potentially going to take a bit longer, but you shouldn't have to pay that person consistently. And it's the same with like physio. I like as a physio, I wouldn't expect someone to have to come and see me every month or every week because that's a
Every week,
reliance.
some
You shouldn't have to
people.
be
It's like,
reliant
yeah,
on me. I should be able to teach you
yeah,
ways to look after yourself.
yeah. Yeah, be independent, be a strong woman, you know. Take your faith into your own hands. But
100%. That's
yeah,
the whole point.
yeah, yeah. So that's one of them things where it's like, right, this is a low. And then completely unrelated to that,
Yeah.
there was like it was that one year in 2022 where I competed in Germany and in England, because well, I've been living here for now coming up to 13 years, but I have a German passport, so I am a German woman, you know. It's like, it is what it is. And there was like, right, so the
Yeah.
English
I'm
didn't
still here.
love me competing at it. That was still an under and Brown. The new promoter, they haven't once said anything to make me feel bad or subpar just because my passport is saying something different. And there are now also a couple or a few more other athletes competing actively in England, but they actually have a European passport. So I think that's really nice from the new promoter to just let this be, you know, take the money, you know, we just want to pay you so we can compete. So please let us do that. And they do that. So that is quite pleasant. But yeah,
Yeah.
then the Germans then have changed the rules. So first they made it very expensive for Germans who live not in Germany. I said, okay, well, that's a bit discriminatory, but given that the UK is no longer subject to EU laws, yeah, you're legally allowed to do that. So fair enough. But then this year, there was a complete ban. Like, no, you can't compete in Germany because you don't live here. To compete in Germany, you have to be German and live here. And I feel like, yeah, this is something that maybe we look into in the future. There is no governing body, right, for strongmen. And with
Yeah.
the whole,
Which
especially for the
causes all the
women,
problems.
it causes all the problems, and especially for the women, like we're really struggling, like there are things going on that are not okay, and we just don't have a voice. So I think the lack of a governing body, that would be another strong woman low. I think the men, they're just, you know, they're like the cage people, you know, they go fight out badly out on the competition floor, but for us, it's quite the journey. So I think a governing body, the creation of such, will be a really good direction to go
Yeah,
through.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it would always be difficult to implement a governing body within strongman because there's so many federations, isn't there? Like it's so big already and so broad, and to get everyone to agree to one
yeah,
person to be in control feels like a very limited possibility. However, I do think like people such as like OSG, who already have really good respect, a really good pathway, a really good setup, if like they took into account what athletes were saying and were more open to listening to athletes and changing things
yeah,
based on the general consensus, I think
yeah,
something like OSG could take over as a governing body and be like an overreaching federation.
yeah.
But to do that, they would have to get a lot more people on side and listen a lot more to the athletes, which they
That's
might
it.
do, they might not. People just want to run things as
Yeah,
businesses, I think, don't they? So if it's not a
I do
business and
get
it's not
that. I
effective and
do
it's not
get
going to
that.
make money, they don't care.
Yeah, but then most businesses, and especially businesses of this size, with that large an interest group giving them money, they have a board, you know, and like this board should be like constituted like a minimum of 6 people, ideally even 12, who then have a proper input, and they write long letters discussing things and laying out their opinion. Like, how did they get to give you the opinion they are sharing? Like, I don't know, yeah, we're not doing this event anymore. Tire flipping. We're not doing tire flipping anymore because of all the torn biceps and all the torn calves. This is now banned. But then it would be nice to get a statement how this could be done safely, with all the in and outs of that. So I think that is something, again, like CrossFit, they've built it, or they've established something like that 2 years ago. It has no power, so they are battling that battle out. So I think maybe we can then like use the lessons they have learned and come up with something that will work for strong women.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. I think the way CrossFit has done it is like it's ingenious, and it's the same with like UFC and stuff like that. It needs a big cash injection from somebody, like say an outside investor goes like Strongman, yeah, huge cash injection into OSG. Let's get a committee of people together that can like sort of input
Yes.
into what OSG is going to do, and that it would immediately grow. It would immediately grow, but obviously there's a lot of hypotheticals there that there's a chance that never would
Yeah.
fucking happen. And who's going to look at Strongman and go, I'll put millions into this. Genius. I'll definitely get a
It's like,
return.
what? Yeah. It's like, why? Because you make the athletes pay for the tickets.
Yeah, hang on a minute. There's a very small group of people here who are just paying to keep this sport alive. This doesn't seem to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs,
Yeah.
like we've previously said, it needs more promotion, and the only way that people can do that is through self promotion. And I think that's the biggest thing, especially with this podcast, is what we're trying to push is people need to get on Instagram, they need to get on the socials, they need to get on YouTube. If you've got something interesting to say, fucking say it, put it out there, make yourself into a person that people can look at and a bit of a character and like something a bit different that people can invest in, because that's what will bring
Yeah.
the money in.
That is it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're slowly but surely we are getting there, or like the exceptions, like they're getting larger. You know, we have Go for Yoke with Charlie. She does her own thing. I think that's a really good development where it's
Yeah,
like, oh, clothes that strong female strong men actually want to wear, you know, because
yeah,
they always
yeah,
trade. And I appreciate the podcast is called Strong Woman, but I remember when I first started doing the sport, I called myself a female strongman,
yeah,
because the sport is called strongman and we don't need to be like pathetic, you know. It's like, okay, you're a female strongman, got it. So yeah, they're doing good stuff. We have Odd Objects, you get sponsored from them. Tommy has good
yep,
opinions, he shares them on Instagram. I was like, right, there's actually like there's conversation going on. And then even Luke from Chaos, we have very little to do with each other, but he's always responsive if you have a question. And he's very opinionated. And even if they're contradictory opinions, they are opinions. I'd rather talk to someone who has an opinion than
yeah,
to someone who doesn't.
yeah, 100%. This is the thing. This sport attracts like interesting personalities, doesn't it? It attracts interesting
Yeah.
personalities, and I think, and it's interesting. Like fucking hell, how many people watch reality TV? Like that is such a
Yeah.
huge market. So if people love reality TV, there's a lot of weirdos in strongman. There's something there.
Yeah.
Like there's
There's
no way
something there. Yeah. There's something
strongman
there.
can't not
Yeah.
grow because there's already the interest of all these people. So we just need to find that middle ground of where we can get strongman into gen pop. That's all it is how do we get strongman
Yeah.
into gen pop? And I
Yeah.
think it is
Yeah.
based on people's personalities.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like we dipped our toe in that last year when we had the Rogue Invitational and the whole Luke Stoltman and Melissa Peacock thing blew up. I was
The
like,
drama.
right, now we're talking pop culture. You know, this is, it's like,
This
is
is what
anyone
people care
benefiting
about.
from this? Yes, you know, like, and like people, like we all have our own issues. We want to be entertained, and yeah, you throw the heavy tin, but it's also about the storytelling. And Nicola Buchanan, she does it really well when she does the commentating. So if we had more of that, someone who actually like you, who points out, like, yeah, but by the way, what happened there? You know, can you talk us through what was going on in your head when you thought this was a clever thing to do?
I do agree. I think gossip sells all the time, doesn't it? And while it's not maybe the nicest thing to go about and push, I said this on a podcast not long ago. Any publicity for strongman at this point is good publicity
Yeah,
because it's getting eyes on the sport, and regardless of whether those eyes are on
okay.
it for good reasons or bad reasons, there's eyes on the sport, isn't
Yeah.
there? We just need more publicity, and regardless of if it's good or bad, it is what it is. Once the sport has grown, then we can start deciding what publicity we want to post out and what we don't.
Yeah,
But
agree.
cool.
So Go for Yoke to sponsor England next year, so we all look put together rather than in a red t-shirt that's not very nice to wear when you're very sweaty.
No, and also, like, fucking, how many of them red t-shirts with your name on the back have you got? Because I've got about 7, and I don't need any more. I
Yeah,
don't need more.
yeah, yeah.
I could just
Yeah.
keep bringing the ones that I've already got and wear them. Stop printing me more. It's fucking pointless. It's a waste of t-shirts.
I've offered that also for the environment. Yeah, for the like, can I just wear some from last year? No. Right. Okay
Yeah,
then.
take a
Sad.
tenner off my entry fee and I'll bring my own t-shirt.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
that could be a good idea for comps. If you're listening and you're a comp promoter now and you think, oh, I'd love to have t-shirts with names on the back. The majority of athletes have, to be honest, already got them. Just run a comp with, tell them to bring their own t-shirts, half the fucking entry cost.
Yeah. There we go.
Let's move on a little bit then. So what would you
Yeah.
say to yourself now, looking back when you first started Strongman?
I would say less is more. Um, just because I've overtrained for years. And again, I didn't get the concept. I didn't get the education around training, how it works, that you go through periods of high intensity and low intensity. And sometimes these periods are actually days in the week, and you do longer blocks and shorter blocks. So all of this, like how training works, how do you actually get stronger? And then how do you get more skilled at the actual events? So this is something that I would tell my younger self: start training the events, pick these things up and walk with them. Walking with weight is really hard, so you need the endurance. Do it for minutes on end, and then you can pick up something really heavy and just run with it for 10 seconds because you've just done it at 50% for 3.5 minutes. And you know what you need to prepare yourself for, like,
Yeah.
how does my lower back start? But yeah, so it's the educational piece that I would tell my younger self: more, less is more. Don't do another 3 classes because you're like secretly, subconsciously still trying to lose weight, but then you're also trying to get really strong, and you know you need to eat. So sort out your head, commit, and then have it on.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Good advice. Yeah, no, I agree. I think being patient with stuff and building that big strong base, I totally agree. And training specific events, I think that's a very Josh Lancaster and Jenny Todd sort of training vibe,
Yeah.
where you actually train the events that you're going to be doing at comps. Because some people don't do it at all. They do like one
Yeah.
event day a week or like a one event day a month. And I think, how are you going to get better at that skill within Strongman if you're only doing it once a week, if you're only doing it once a month? Like every
Yeah.
fucking training session I do, it's Strongman events.
Yeah. 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 So it's not as extreme for
And
me
it works,
because
doesn't
for me,
it? That's
it
the
does
fun of
work.
it
Yeah.
is. I think it makes your training more fun as well because you're doing stuff that
Yes.
like if you only get to do your training events like for comps once a week and at comp, you're missing out on half the fun, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, do I really have to stand here doing biceps curls? No, it contributes nothing to my strong woman career. So let's stop doing this shit. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So that's something like get involved with the events is a really important one. And then I do appreciate for the static events, like you need to build your deadlift and you need to build your pressing, but everything else, like it just, and especially everything core related, as we like to hear about so much. It's like we did a bit of core. Oh, so did you carry some heavy farmers? No, we did some crunches. Well, maybe not the best thing to do to build some core, but why don't you do suitcase carries? Your abs will be on fire.
Yeah. Beltless deadlifts. There you go. That's an ab
Yeah,
exercise. Just do your
yeah,
deadlifts, but beltless. Like straight
yeah,
away. And it's comp specific too.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no,
it.
cool. I like that. That's really good advice. So let's move on then while the internet has allowing us to, which is fucking it's only fucking just in it. And we'll move on to our final section, which is our silly goose.
Yes.
Silly goose. It's silly goose time, where our lips get loose and our minds run free. Silly goose. It's silly goose time, where we chat a load of shit that's of absolutely no use. It's silly goose time.
So you actually told me you already have a silly goose to bring to the table. So you let me
Yeah.
know your silly goose first.
Okay. So, Becca, in your honest opinion, is tea just leaf soup?
Yeah, absolutely it is. I feel like the majority of hot beverages are just, you could be argued that they are soup. Because, like, if you think about it, if you bought a cup of soup, which is just like a packet of fucking like dried stuff, isn't it? You put that in a bowl with hot water, it's soup. You're telling me that coffee isn't just bean soup?
That's bean soup, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just
so there we
fucking
go.
soup. Yeah.
The big question. So we answered the big question here.
I like that we both obviously agree on that just anything with hot water is soup.
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't think that, then you're not thinking straight. It's everything is soup. I fucking love soup though, especially in the wintertime. Soup is a good wintertime choice. What's your favourite type of soup?
Jenny in here.
Yeah, she's
for me,
a soup person.
I do like butternut squash. Yeah, butternut squash is good. And then what I make at home is like proper chicken soup, you know, with matzo balls and all the little bits. I was like, yeah, this is nice. Like chicken soup cures everything.
Yeah. I'm not a big chicken soup fan, but I've never actually made my own chicken soup. It's always been out of a can, which I feel like chicken soup out of a can is not the fucking vibe, is it? So I need to really do that and make some proper soup.
You have everything in your garden.
Yeah, I have no excuse not to make chicken soup. I can go and do one now, to be fair. But yeah, no, I agree with butternut squash though. Pumpkin soup, I think, is probably my fave.
Yeah,
I like a pumpkin soup, and but then the overall consensus of a soup that I would eat at any time ever would just be Heinz tomato soup.
Oh yeah. I had a really strong craving for that the other day. I was like, well, Eliza, what is happening? Why do you sit here and think it's like, oh, now a tomato soup? Right, okay, then it is what it is. You know, I'm not going to argue with my body.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that semi-regularly. I would say at least once a week I crave Heinz tomato soup, and I have to just eat it then and there, because otherwise I'll just think about it for days. I fucking love Heinz tomato soup. Do you know what? Also, as well, if you're a bit extra hungry and you know soup won't cut it, or you don't have any bread, I'll do pasta. So I make a bit of pasta and just put that in my soup. Yeah, delicious. A fucking great meal. Yeah. Bex will be listening to this like, what is wrong with you? No wonder you weigh fucking 94 kilo now. Oh no. Oopsie. Okay, right. Well, so my silly...
the soup?
It's the soup. It's the soup and the pasta. I can't help it. Okay then. Well, my silly goose to you is definitely a different tangent. What is the weirdest dream you've ever had, and has it impacted you in some way?
Oh, I do know the weirdest dream. So there were attacks. It was like maybe 6-7 years ago, maybe not that long. My brain isn't that good. There were attacks in Paris, and they like at a concert. Like I only remember it vaguely, but yeah. So I had a really interesting out of body experience. So I was at that concert with my mom. We were killed and our souls left our bodies and were looking down at what was going on from like the bird's eye view. And I was like, oh, what just happened? Like the morning I woke up, I didn't know. I was like, no, this was really uncomfortable. Quickly called my therapist. I thought I had an out of body experience. I was at the Paris attacks and my mom and we both died. Reception wasn't very good. You both died. I said, now obviously I wouldn't call you if I was dead, would I?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then because that was at a time where I was at a job where my boss was really toxic. So, and this toxicity went so deep that I didn't know how to explain to him now that I am a bodiless soul where everything is, so that he wouldn't have issues caused by my absence.
So you basically just haunted your boss.
It's here, you know. I've like tried to tip him off that it is in the upmost drawer, but yeah, it's like I was dead, so I couldn't.
I like that dream started off as like something like that. Obviously, you were concerned about you and your mum died. It was an out of body experience, but then it led to. But then I was trying to haunt my boss to tell him where things were. That's
priority, you know.
Priorities. You're obviously so
Yeah.
stressed at work because that was your initial thought. Well, if I die, fucking work's gonna have a nightmare. That's
Yes.
so funny. That's such an A-type personality trait, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Work is super
Yeah.
important.
Oh, and I just remembered what job that was. So the dream was about 13 years ago, but I remember it so clearly. You don't forget those ones.
No. See, I'm not a big dreamer. I don't really remember a lot of dreams. On the other hand
Oh,
of that, though, I am a big
imagine what
sleep
would have happened if
paralysis
Martin
person. I
Luther
get
King had
sleep
said that.
paralysis all the time.
Aye.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I don't have a dream.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I don't really dream, so I want to have funny dream stories, but I just don't. I just have sleep paralysis stories that aren't that funny. They're just terrifying.
Okay. Well,
But
herbs are very good for that.
oh, I know herbs are very good for that. That's why I don't fucking dream.
Yeah.
Because I am absolutely KO'd when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Take a fucking hand bum to wake me up. I'll tell you what though, I've just invested in. I'll finish like my silly goose in a second, but I've just invested in one of them sunrise alarms. Fucking hell, that's
Oh,
living
is it
in
good?
fucking 2025. That
Okay. Okay, very nice.
I
I'll bear
love
that in
it
mind.
because I hate waking up. I'm a snoozer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love a snooze under my alarm. Like fucking hell, it takes me maybe about half an hour to 40 minutes every morning to wake up properly. Whereas this, like that light, it sets off like so. You set your alarm for like 7 or whatever. At 6:30, it starts to like light up very slowly, and then by the time it
Yeah.
gets to 7 o'clock, it's full light. And it starts your alarm noise, which mine is birds, obviously, because fucking birds are
Of
my
course.
life. So it
Yeah. But they're
starts
not
like
even real.
cheeping birds at 7, and I just feel like I wake up a lot easier. Like when I wake up, I'm like, oh yeah, I am awake. This is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah, it's not like a vicious wake up where I'm like, oh god, I'm like deep asleep, and then I'm wide awake, and it's fucking terrifying.
That's it. That's it.
I think, well, unless you've got anything else to add, have you got anything else you'd want to say to the end of the pod?
No, I think I'm good to go. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I am looking forward to seeing you at England's, fingers crossed. And then hopefully we'll go to Worlds later this year. So all the best.
So thanks, Eliza, for being on the pod. We've had a little bit of technical difficulty, but hopefully it's not too bad of a recording overall. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Strongwoman Highs, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support the podcast, then please give us a follow on Instagram. Or if you would like, we're also on buymeacoffee.com/Strongwoman Highs. This is where you can send us tips, or you can also join our membership area, which is $5 a month or £4 a month. It's the silly gosling level. We'll post out any extra content that we get on there, and hopefully a few little like free giveaways of things as well. The podcast currently doesn't cost a lot to run, which is what we're trying to keep it as, but we would like to be able to cover our costs, and also once those costs are covered, any profit that is made on Strong Woman Highs will be getting saved up and put into a pot for future Strong Woman competitions that we can sponsor. So if you have a Strong Woman competition that you'd like to be sponsored, or if you want to be on the podcast, then give us a shout, send me a message on Instagram or on YouTube, anywhere else you can get us, and we'll get it sorted, because the more women that we can get on, the better. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye!